Hello everyone and welcome back to the BUSR Summer Series in Assetto Corsa. We are out at the lovely Snetterton circuit for round 2 of the year. I'm joined by Tom. Hello Tom, how are you doing on this lovely Monday evening?
Yeah, not too well, Dan. Lot colder than last week. Last week it has to be said. So hopefully some of the drivers won't be suffering from this recent heat wave we've been having. But a totally different style of track this week. Snetterton 200, of course, differs a lot from last week's track over in Japan. So yeah, looking forward to see what our drivers will get up to.
Definitely. Okayama, a very technical circuit, lots of heavy braking zones and twisty corners. The Snetterton 200 loop, it's basically a square, well, maybe a rectangle with some corners at each end, used by British touring cars. So if any of you are familiar with that championship, this is the layout that they run, but not British GT or British Superbikes. They use the full 300 layout. Only 8 corners for our drivers to contend with, but across that 2-mile circuit length, there is enough space really for these cars. But however, there is a lot of straight as well in that, spread out between those 8 turns, which means that the slipstream is going to be very important, especially down the start-finish straight, and also the ferociously long back straight, which will definitely open it up, particularly in qualifying for any team play, and then into the race with seeing dive bombs into the tight left-hander at the end of the long straight.
Yeah, indeed, I'm expecting dive bombs galore with this layout. A lot of hairpins around here. You got Wilson turn 2, which is a prime overtaken opportunity, and if you get it wrong, you'll find yourself out in the fields of Norfolk. So hopefully none of our drivers end up there today, but as always, looking forward to seeing what they get up to.
Definitely a lot of run up here. So if anybody does go off, they've got a long way to go before they hit anything, which is advantageous, I suppose, compared to Wakayama, which did have some tight walls that created some early race carnage. Of course, just a reminder of our results in race 1. Our current championship leader is, of course, Jack Noller, who got that win and podium in race 1. He leads ahead of Josh Woolley and Aidan Larson, and a few other drivers behind them in that sort of close battle of group of, say, the top 6 or 7 drivers who are all within reasonable contention for the win. Lap times here are ranging in the low 114s, with a couple of drivers breaking into the 113s. So look out for drivers like that. Topping practice was actually Adam Sparrow, a driver who's newish to the BUSR, was here last week, did very well, but looking for that first maiden victory in the season. Qualifying will be getting underway very shortly, though, so we'll have to see how that goes before we even talk about the races.
Yep. Also, good to see Jack Noller up there as well as Josh Woolley in the practice session. They, if you remember from last race, if you were with us last race, were the 2 fighting through the field in the second race after getting involved in some early carnage. And who can forget, of course, the driver from Aidan Larson down in 20th place or so in race 1, swept through the field. Hopefully his qualifying result is slightly better today, so I won't have to do that. But yeah, once again, let's see how these early championship contenders get on.
Yes, definitely important to bank those points early on. You don't want to come to the end of the season and wish you'd made that daring move back in race 1, race 2, or even sort of in the first half of the season. You've got to keep trying track of those points and build those gaps to your rivals that mean you can then run to the championship finale in 7 weeks' time.
Yeah, absolutely. Something that I'm pretty keen to see around this track actually is how much setup's going to play a role. Obviously, a lot of straights around here, so let's see what wing the drivers are running. I've seen someone in chat said -2 wing. I'm not too privy to the setup adjustability of these cars, but certainly around here, rather than Okayama, as you said earlier, Dan, the draft is going to play a massive role in these races, and let's see how the teams can work together to get their way to the front.
Definitely, setup always makes a big difference. These cars, of course, are our Toyota GR86 Cup cars that we at the BUSR team modified to make them just a little bit spicier. They're sort of running roughly on pace with a very slow GT4 car or a very fast TCR car, sort of around that, depending on the circuit layout. They've got 314 horsepower, which is a little bit more than the stock 220. They weigh in at around about 1.2 kilos, 1.2 tons, not 1.2 kilos, flipping it, that'd be lightweight. However, just a word, this is our second round, so of course we now have our our driver ballast. It's based on our championship order, 50 kilos to first, and then down in increments of 5, right the way down to Jordan Pinnock, who only has 5 kilos, and everyone below him in the championship has 0. And that is going to make a humongous difference at some circuits. This one, because it's so high speed, maybe not, but out of the acceleration zones, out of the Montreal hairpin, is going to make a big difference to the acceleration of these cars. And here we go, round that very hairpin I was just mentioning there, we have Dystopian going, and then onto the big long Bentley straight. Very wide for Dystopian, they get it onto the grass. Definitely not an optimal outlap for them.
You can really get a scale of the amount of runoff we have around here. You saw down there into turn 1 how the fields just go on forever and ever, and miss your braking point, could find yourself on an A road. So let's hope none of the drivers do that today.
Definitely, you can get some good air if you hit one of the barriers at the wrong point, or even if you hit one of the mounds at some of the sketchier points on the circuit. Here we're following Adam Bent now, our series organizer, venerable dictator in charge here, except for Josh Woolley, who's in charge. But that's a complicated power struggle of which the politics are long, complicated and boring. But Adam, here we go, just through the Brundle and Nelson pair of corners, down into the funniest named corner in UK motorsport, Bomb Hole. Yes, that is bomb, as in the explosive ordnance. Get your mind out of the gutter. Coming round Coram, the long sweeping right-hander towards the end of the lap is where high downforce cars just keep it pinned, find the speed and go around. But these GR86s, they have got wings, but they are definitely not downforce munching monsters.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of scrabbling going on today. First race of the season, we saw quite a few drivers going into that turn 1 with a loose back end. So let's ride on board here with Adam Bent going into turn 1. You just want a little bit of a lift off here to kiss the brakes gently, carry as much speed through as you can. And as that's a car off in front, as he goes down through the gears into the tight Wilson hairpin, gets it rotated, and then there's a nice little flick to the left as we come onto the long old Bentley straight. I expect in the race here we're going to be seeing quite a lot of drafting battles, and really want to be getting the run onto this long straight absolutely perfect.
Yeah, once you're on that straight, you're going to flick up through the GR sequential gearbox, making sure that you've tuned your gears, if possible, to just the right point with your relation to your wing. For the hard braking point down into the left-hander of Brundle, you want to get as close to those dangerous sausage curves as you can, but not quite that close into Nelson before running down into the last 2 big long right-handers. There's Bomb Hole through, run it out wide. Don't trigger the track limits there, or your lap time will be invalidated by the game. Then coming round Coram, which is like I said, that long, almost 180 degrees continuous curve into the very difficult braking zone for the Murray's left-hander, and then powering down the start-finish straight. We have probably our first truly representational lap times coming in now. There's a 1:15 for Alex Hughes, is our first in the 1:15s, but expect lap times to get well below that towards the end of the session.
And our first purple sector comes in from Andrea Ruggi. Obviously, our 5th place driver at the minute in this championship, had a pretty decent round 1 out at Okayama. This track is, of course, incredibly different, so let's see how they get on there. But purple middle sector as well looks to be fine out there, really. But let's see how the lap times improve over the course of this 20-minute qualifying session. Apologies.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting to see how some of our consistently front-running drivers, should I say, adapt their strategy as they go through the season and through the race, whether they push early on, set lap times like that one from Andrea Ruggi to put it at a 1:14.8, which is well and truly clear of second place, but we've not really had any times from our other front-runners yet. They are the only car with ballast to set a representational lap time here. Alex Hughes running 0 kilos after a decent finish last time out at Okayama. New laps coming in. John B there jumps up to second place with a 1:15.4. That's a good lap from him. Purple sector 1, but of course we're still very early on, so that will undeniably and undoubtedly get beaten as the cars throw themselves through Riches at turn 1 there.
Really, just looking at the mini-map, track map on my screen, there appears to be a lot of cars still in the pits, and not too many cars, it must be said, taking advantage of the tow, as we talked about in pre-race, Dan. So interesting to see that some of the drivers at the start of this session are just going out there, minding their own business, taking it as it comes, seeing what lap time they can set. Maybe they'll come back in for a fresh set of tyres, get on their way again, see if they can get a tow. But really, Andrea Ruggi nearly 6/10 the good out in front, but really none of our none of our championship contending drivers from round 1 have even so much ventured onto the track, it appears.
Yeah, it's weird watching them all stay in the pit lane on our timing screens. I've got it that only about half the cars have come out. Maybe there's something we don't know about going on behind the scenes to do with split qualifying. If there is, we've not been told about it. We're very sorry for that lack of transparency. But yeah, half the cars still sitting there, half of them going around. Remy Ario is the driver we're currently following around. Pretty strong driver prospect for them, already up into 5th place with a 1:16.7, so that we expect good things from them if they can find some time improvements.
Beautiful looking livery there with the blue headlights. Which will certainly be a distinctive car to tell apart, I'm sure, when they come in as a gaggle through turn 1. But yeah, nice and spread out here around the track as we watch Bailey come up to the start finish line. 1:18.3 is their current time as they cross over the beam and improve on that to 17.5, which puts them up to 7th place. But yeah, only 2 of our drivers with ballast out there at the minute. One of them is fastest, and one of them, unfortunately, Dystopian, hasn't really set a representative lap time. That's 1:51, which unless you're doing this lap on something like an MX-5 or even a bike, isn't a representative lap time.
Yeah, and I've just had confirmation from our organiser this is split qualifying. Sorry for not giving you that information earlier on in the session. That was why it was ever so slightly longer on the clock. It was 25 rather than our standard 20. This is Group 1. These are the drivers that finished lower down in practice. So these lap times are definitely not going to be the fastest we see. However, Andrea Ruggi is a very quick driver. So their 1:14.8 may well stand the test of the time to put them near the front after Group 2 come out, which contains our more, should we say, traditionally competitive drivers. That's where your likes of Ben Gilroy and Adam Sparrow, Jordan Pinnock, Luke Sawyer-Larson, and Woolley and Noller and Goldsmith all are residing. So this will run for a set amount of time. Then all these cars will pull into the pit lane, and then the Group 2 will get ready to go, and they will set their lap time. So due to the nature of this circuit, being that it's quite a short lap, it's only a 1 minute, like I said, a 1:14 dead would pretty happily put you on the front row of the grid. The organisers have elected to run a split qualifying, first tried out last season at Knock Hill to great success, where the driver currently in 11th, Thomas Cannon, put their car in the front 6 for qualifying for the first time. There is Thomas Cannon actually now, so we'll see if he can produce any more split qualifying magic as we get the clock ticks down into the last couple of minutes or so for Group 1. We are starting to see some little pairs forming, and I wonder if that is slipstream benefiting pairs.
I wonder as well if Group 2 will benefit from this whole slipstreaming idea. Maybe not seeing it too much with these drivers, as you mentioned, them finishing slightly further down the practice session. Perhaps they are just using this session to learn the track, mind their own business a little bit. But Andrea Ruggi looked to be on an absolutely blistering lap there until the final sector, where they have elected to come into the pits. That was 2 purple sectors, and it was looking like an improvement on that 14.8, but nothing doing, it seems.
Yeah, no one's really improving by drastic amounts at this point. Andrea Ruggi definitely with the lap of the session though. And they're there. Oh, there's a car off into the Norfolk Fields. There you go. There it is. Lovely crash physics of Assetto Corsa proving themselves once again infallible to our drivers' efforts to break them up. Oh, never mind, they broke it anyway. Here we go with John B. Now currently in 2nd place. That will almost certainly drop their best lap time of 1:15, and they aren't improving on this lap either. So unlikely to be a jump up in, very unlikely to be a jump in position, and also very unlikely to be a jump in time, given how close to the end of this rather compact or action-filled lap as we go into the chicane. Almost like a late lunge up the inside there for John B. That was not the optimal racing line through that corner. Lost about 2/10 doing it as well. So that is their lap well and truly ruined as they come across the line now. The timer counting down very close to the 10 minute past mark. So you have to think the drivers now are going to start to think, right, this is my last 2 laps. Let's start pushing to the absolute maximum.
Absolutely, and really not too many improvements going on. There's a couple of drivers, Dystopian on a personal best lap time, it seems, looking to break into the 16s, but as we see John B overtake that lap traffic, the blue flag traffic, get out of the way, they shout. And yeah, right on cue into the 15.9s for Dystopian. Remember with that 40 kilogram of ballast, but still quite some ways off Andrea Ruggi out there in P1.
Definitely, I saw the Dystopians' times are coming in, and that is unsurprisingly, their best lap of the session. They've not really had an easy session so far, but the clock has gone under 15 minutes now. Cars are in the pit lane, and I doubt those cars are going to re-emerge. So that is provisional pole for Andrea Ruggi, pretty much signed, sealed, and delivered, unless someone like Adam Bent can pull out an absolute whopper of a lap, as he's already basically matching his personal best coming through the last corner. It seems unlikely he'll find the gap to the front required. So that would be session 1. Provisional pole is to go on the way of Andrea Ruggi, but of course there is Group 2 coming out very shortly. John B provisionally second, Alex Hughes provisionally third. As the cars are completing their lap time, they will jump back into the pits at the soonest possible convenience to allow session 2 to get underway, and our more competitive drivers from practice to make their way out onto circuit as soon as possible. So don't go anywhere. Even though everybody is in the pit lane, there is still much more qualifying action to come in the next couple of minutes.
I'm almost reminded of the short-lived Formula One qualifying format from I think 2015 or 2016. That weird phenomenon where you would have maybe 2 or 3 cars on the track at one point. This feels like F1 2015 has returned to Snetterton, this time in 300 horsepower GR86s and no Jensen button. But such is the chaos of BUSR.
Such is the uniqueness of this series. We love it dearly, and we love these cars dearly. And you have confirmation from the series organizer that everyone is returned to pits from Group 1. Group 2 now will be getting their cars tuned to the absolute 10th of tenths. They were getting the fuel poured in to do barely just enough distance, but just enough distance so they can make it round for a fast lap or two. Some cars choose to fuel up for the whole session. Some choose to fuel up for just the laps, just a couple laps, and then they will come back in and then go back out again. It depends on the driving style. I, as a driver, always prefer to fill the car and get gradually faster over the session, whereas some of the front guys were like, nope, I know what to do. I'll go out there, nail it once, and then come back in, and that's me done for the session. Like we saw with Jack Nolla last time out, he was finished in qualifying with about 8 minutes gone of the session, let alone to go. So there's confirmation that we can start getting cars into the fast lane of the pit lane for the start of session 2 in this big jumbo bonus double qualifying session.
And Jack Nolla, let's see what the tactics are for this session. Maybe this race he has time to put a pole lap in 4, go have a brew, come back, watch a little bit more qualifying, and still be on the front row. But if he thinks it's going to be as easy as last time out, with all the slipstream and shenanigans that I think we might see, I would put my money on not.
Definitely a consideration. If his team can play with him, then he's got an advantage. If they can't, that's his loss. Someone like Josh Woolley and the Dress Up Darlings team are all very much experienced racers in the BUSR. They know each other and they know each other's style very well. I'm sure they'll have discussed the slipstream beforehand. That is, his teammates are, or one of them is definitely Aidan Larson. So they know each other very well, those two. They've raced together many times, so they'll have the consideration. Whereas some of our independent drivers, or drivers who have had their team split across the sessions, will maybe struggle a little bit more. But also, this is the one with all the ballast in. We did have Andrea Ruggi with ballast and Dystopian with ballast, but all of our other ballasted up cars of Larson and Gilroy and Pinnock and Kesselson all the way through, they're all going to now be in this session. So that's where they've got to make it count, is can they beat the other ballasted up cars? However, Ruggi put it on pole with 30 kilos on board, so it's definitely not impossible.
I wonder if Assetto Corsa physics will allow for bump drafting. I'd like to think so. It could get quite spicy, quite interesting. But I'm not too experienced with bump drafting in this sim, so that remains to be seen.
I've seen it work once, but that was in Master MX-5 Cup cars at Daytona. And you could gain about 10 to 15 kilometers an hour if you just kept smacking the car in front of you, but as a pair. It was chaotic, but quite hilarious. So maybe down the big long Bentley straight between turns, I suppose it'd be turn 3 and turn 4, they might be able to. And there we go, the cars have been released from the pit lane. We are all go for the second half of qualifying. Look at them all wiggling their way around, trying to get into the best position, get the best lap time, get in that lovely slipstream train in the second half. There's already 2 of them off. We've done literally 1 corner, guys. Come on, we can. It's qualifying. We're not even racing. That was Josh Woolley and Badgham who hit themselves, who hit into each other. There's a car spun at the Wilson hairpin. There's 2 more cars on the grass in avoidance. It's all carnage, and we literally haven't even got round to the end of sector 1.
I've seen enough. Red flag it, guys. Red flag it. Absolute chaos.
Yeah, session cancelled already. That's it, guys. We're done. No, we'll carry on. Soldier on valiantly through the slight mess, shall we say, that is being produced every single time these cars go anywhere near a racetrack.
Really taking advantage of that massively wide Bentley straight there. That was Owen Goldsmith warming up the tyres, ready for the lap. And already on the mini-map, you can see everybody's bunched up really close together. Is this Aidan Larson starting his fine lap? Surely not. That seems a bit too early.
Ben Gilroy. That is, I believe, the car of Ben Gilroy.
Oh, yeah.
Starting. No, it is Aidan. I got the numbers wrong. That is Aidan. That is Ben Gilroy in the middle of the pack. Thank you to our broadcast manager for pointing out my lack of reading ability. Here we have Aidan going down the big long Bentley straight and into that first very tight left-hander, and then flicking it towards the curves for the second part. He is significantly offset from the rest of the pack, where we find drivers like Ben Gilroy and Josh Woolley, his teammate behind him, who are all coming just round the turn 2 hairpin and then turn 3.
Well, it's no surprise to see the 2 teammates there towing each other down the long Bentley straight. I wonder, yes, pulling out the way to give the tow back to, I believe that's Josh Woolley.
It does feel good to be right about something, doesn't it, when you predicted the slipstream and then you see it in action between one of our heavy championship favourite teams there, Ben Gilroy, getting well out of the way for one of our other competitors. Josh Woolley here was hasn't won a race yet in the series. I mean, there has only been 2. So him not having won a race is not yet a disaster. He scored a very strong amount of points though, which is why he is in second place. 5 points in qualifying for being on the front row, 35 for second place in race 1, and then 27 points for race 3. So hoping to get a good representation. Well, there he goes, straight to the front of the grid. Not quite first place though, as Adam Sparrow immediately comes in and beats him. We've got some proper lap times being set now of Benjamin going to the front with a 1:15.2, then John B hanging on with a 1:15.3, Adam Sparrow's 1:15.3, and then Josh Woolley's 1:15.4. Andrea Ruggi's time appears to have had a little bit of a problem, so we'll have to see what happens with that. But there has definitely already been fire. There it is from Jack Noller. Provisional pole goes his way. First driver into the 1:14s, and by quite a healthy margin. That is gauntlet well and truly thrown, not just down, but well and truly launched down for everyone else to go and beat.
Absolutely fantastic lap time there, and as Aidan Larson does indeed beat that by 0.3 of a second. So maybe the more laps these guys are going to do, the quicker and quicker they're going to get. Maybe the tyres are just working for them here, as yeah, Aidan Larson purple in the middle sector, purple in the final sector, although Josh Woolley has now got honours for purple sector 1. But let's see what reply Jack Noller can have. Remember, he has what's that? Can I do maths? 15 kilograms less ballast in the car, as he does set indeed a purple middle sector. So 0.2 up on that first lap. 0.3, remember, is the gap to Aidan Larson out in front. Let's see what he can pull out of the bag, as I believe he is coming round to break the beam, and it looks good to me to be enough for first place. We will see in just a second, as there we are, 1/100th of a second faster. But again, Jack Noller on 3 laps, Aidan Larson only on 2. I can only see the lap times improving from here.
Yes, our timing page lit up like a Christmas tree with all the green and purple sectors across the board. Here we go, another one of our front runners to cross the line, Aidan Larson. That is not an improvement. He was half a second down on his personal best through that lap, which means he is still behind Jack Noller, who has already set a purple sector 1. So that car has evidently still got pace in it. Jordan Pinnock sits in 3rd place there with his paltry 5 kilos of ballast, then Benjamin being the highest place of our 0 kg ballast cast, then Kessels, John B, Sparrow, Woolley, Hughes and Raul Yagas round out the top 10, at least on our timing charts for now. But Aidan Larson is not improving at the start of this lap either, so definitely not an optimal performance for him. Maybe we've already seen his best as Luke Sawyer sets a new personal best as well. Josh Woolley is up to very respectable 4th place on the timing tower there, so that's good for him, but we know we can do better, so we'll have to see, will any of our drivers break the 1:14 barrier?
Yeah, so as we see Aidan Larson, apologies, coming around the final 2 corners, it doesn't look like it's a particularly good lap, it must be said, but maybe he can pull something out of the bag in this final sector. Goes a little bit wide there, hopefully that's not an invalidated lap. He's going to come around and break the beam, but to be honest, doesn't look like it's going to be too much quicker, and indeed it wasn't. It was nearly a second slower, so Jack Nolan maybe been cooking with his tyres early on, and again, as we saw in the first round, there's not too many improvements. As the qualifying session's going on, you really have to get your fastest lap in the first 2 or 3 laps, because those tyres are cooked at the end of the 3rd lap, the 4th lap.
Yeah, the track temperature in game is 27 degrees Celsius and some out of Fahrenheit. That makes no sense. So the driver's tyres will be getting warm. It's definitely not a cold, frigid April morning here. We are very much in peak conditions for the cars. Jack Nolan still holding on to that pole position though by, like was previously said by Tom, a paltry margin as he slows down and gets ready to start a new flying lap there. No improvement for him in sector 1, of course, so must have come out of the pit lane there. This is the start of his flying lap. Aidan Larson is sort of hovering around a solid lap time again, but probably not going to improve unless he absolutely nails the last corner at Murray's. Runs a little bit wide though, so definitely put a bit more grass under the wheels than he would like as he comes across to cut the beam. His lap time is a 1:14.598, so it's slower than his personal best, but would keep his position even if he lost his best.
And the gap between P2 and P3 is at nearly half a second as we watch Luke Sawyer in that beautiful Subaru livery there, as we mentioned last race. Not going to see as much sliding as you might expect out of a WRC car, but appears to be on a personal best lap, so let's see where Luke Sawyer will go on the leaderboard as he comes across the line. And doesn't appear to improve, seems to have lost about 2 seconds in the final sector as look at the cars sliding around that first corner. They're really on the limit of adhesion here. But back to Ben Gilroy, remember carrying that 20 kilograms. I think I either had an issue or is that an out lap from Ben Gilroy, but no improvement on that lap. As Aidan Larson, purple middle sector, there we are. I contradicted myself there. It clearly can be done to go quicker as the tyres get on, but let's see as he breaks the beam. 14.421, still 0.2 off. I don't think we're going to see any improvement as we tick down below 2 minutes left in this qualifying session.
Jack Nolan has just set a new fastest sector 1. Sorry to completely undermine you there. He's dropped into the 22nd sector 1. Everyone else is in the 21s or the 22s. He is blisteringly quick. If this lap is any sort of improvement with only 1.5 minutes to go, you have to think that is pretty much qualifying, signed, sealed, done, delivered in the post and off to the steward's room for approval, and then off to race 1. So here he goes. He's done sector 2. No improvement in sector 2, but still a decent time. It's a little bit down on his best, but not by a lot. He's still green though overall because of how blistering his sector 1 was. As he comes down towards turn 1, there is no consequential traffic in his way, so he'll get a clean lap in, runs up the curb just perfectly. Nothing left behind there in terms of speed and pace as he races up towards the line, breaks the beam on our timing, and there we have it, a 1:14.095. Not quite the mythical 1:13 we've been thinking might appear, but it was still a very, very respectable lap time. Basically all that time was found in the first sector and then just maintained throughout. But that is what you think has to be provisional pole for Nolan he's still got, you know, half a minute to go, and there are cars going around on the circuit. We're seeing improvements from some of our drivers further down. Woolley and Benjamin both appear to be improving, but Jack Noller once again with a blistering lap time. Aidan Larson's in the pit lane. His qualifying is over, as is Adam Sparrow. So those guys are set. We're looking really further back for any chance of beating him. But Jack Noller, what a driver.
And Jack Noller's still improving on his lap times, coming through the long Coram 180-degree corner, really, before the final flick into Murray's. And dare I say, this could be a 113. Just keep it within track limits, which he has done well. And flat to the floor as we come across the start-finish line to see what I hope will be a 113. There we are, 113.9. Absolutely monumental pace. 0.3 to the good, with 50 kilograms, I must remind you.
Yep, the car is full of ballast, and yet he is still full of bravery and speed. Just a word on Jack Noller. Did some research in between sessions as to his background. He is a real-life racer. He races MX-5 cars and Fun Cup cars, and also works for McLaren as an engineer and driver in loop development, test sim kind of person, hence his pace. But here we have an aspiring driver in loop test engineer, Josh Woolley, coming around to complete his lap. He's currently sitting at a 114.4, so he's got a lot of time to improve if he wants to get pole position, but there's definitely positions in it if he nails the last sector. Across the line he goes. Doesn't appear to be any improvement for him in position in his time. Right, Raul Yagas pulls into the pit, so that's their qualifying over. They have our front 8 all in the pit lane. There is one car left circulating, which means that qualifying is as good as over. Just a word, we should see a reinstatement of a lap time for Andrea Ruggi, who will put himself somewhere towards the middle of our top 10. But it is, unsurprisingly, the pole sitter from race 1, also on pole for round 2, Jack Noller, on pole position with a dominant form in the end, 0.3 clear of Aidan Larson, and then Adam Sparrow, Josh Woolley, Jordan Pinnock and Raul Yagas are your top 6 drivers. 29 did qualifying though, split by not a humongous margin towards the end there.
Yep, indeed, and I suspect that Jack Noller could just run away with this, as we saw in race 1 of round 1. So, yeah, like you said, Jack Noller 50 kilograms on the front row with Aidan Larson 35 kilograms of ballast. But then Adam Sparrow, the first driver to not actually have any ballast, sitting pretty in 3rd place. So, you know, really does show that some of the drivers who had a little bit of misfortune last race, had a little bit of mistakes, a few things untowards happen, can really recover their season in the second round of the championship.
Definitely Adam Sparrow, also a real-life racer in an MX-5 car, so knows his way around a front-engine rear-wheel drive sports car. Had a little bit of an unfortunate round at Okayama. We were expecting more from him, so maybe this is the start of a bounce back and a late charge. Always a title contender, though, in my eyes. I think he's part of that core group of 6 that we're going to see towards the front for the majority of the season, but definitely one of the most impressive performances. A word on Raul Yagas as well. A blisteringly quick driver who put it in 6th place on the grid, at least so far. So we just have to see if he can convert that into any sort of decent point, maybe a podium, if we see some bickering from the guys up ahead. But coming up, we've got our traditional 2 races, 20 minutes plus 1 lap, and the second one will be a reverse grid for the top 10. 10th place becomes pole becomes 10th. Everyone else in the middle swaps as you would expect, which adds a little element of chaos and kind of a lifeline to some drivers like Aidan Larson utilised to maximum efficiency at Okayama. But the question is, going into race 1, can anyone stop Jack Noller?
I think that's as good a rhetorical question as any, to be honest. Let's see what race 2 throws up. Looking forward to seeing who can get themselves into the back end of the top 10, who will target that pole position, because as we've seen before, you mentioned bump drafting around Daytona, that you really can gain some speed if the drivers play that game.
Definitely, there is pack tactics will happen here. I fully expect to see we will see a split in the grid from the front half to the back half. If the front half work together, they will be able to pull away a nice healthy gap. Maybe it's only the front 5, the front 6, whatever. But if they work together and they don't fight too much, they could definitely pull a sizable margin over the rest of the pack. We have had confirmation that Andrea Ruggi will be starting in roughly P7, I believe. maybe P8, the timing tower, still sorting itself out as the cars get ready. So his lap time was reinstated. So he was the session 1 pole position sitter who came home overall in 8th place. So still a very decent lap time from him, from the Italian. So we'll have to see if he can improve from there. Big grids coming up. Tight turn 1, very tight turn 2. The Wilson hairpin is going to be a dangerous one, I think, especially if we see someone lock up and go deep.
Yeah, of course. Don't be surprised to see a few cars around, as indeed we did at the start of qualifying, to be honest. So yeah, could be sketchy. Everyone on cold tires, of course, and 3 wide, maybe even 4 wide, could be on into the Wilson hairpin. But I'll try not to jinx anything. We want everyone to get through nice and clean, no red flags as happened last race, but that remains to be seen.
Definitely, yeah. The thing is with BUSR AT racing, just being clean can quite happily net you points. So the drivers that have been here for a while, they know that very, very well. People like Josh Woolley, Owen Goldsmith, they've lost race wins, they've lost championships because of not keeping it clean. Whether that was their fault or not, you can argue till the cows come home. But keeping it clean, keeping it organized, keeping it on the track, facing the right way at all times is a crucial one, particularly around the tight opening sections of our races. Here we have the cars all on the grid, very tightly packed, as you can see, stretching on for meters and meters of the way down the start-finish straight. Jack Noller in that McLaren livery on pole position. Then it is one of the dress-up darling cars of Larson, then Adam Sparrow in the similarly orange, but not McLaren, Toyota behind him, and then Josh Woolley in the second of our dress-up darlings cars. Then Sawyer, Yagas, Pinnock, Benjamin, Andrea Ruggi actually came home, is lining up in 9th ahead of Goldsmith, and then the rest of our lovely band of misfits behind. The red lights are starting to come on now at Snetterton for round number 3 of the BUSR Summer Championship. Rock and roll, let's go racing. The cars get underway as a great start from our second row there of the grid, as there's little bits of bump drafting already. There was a contact between a large chunk of the front of the grid there. We've got cars 3 wide. Aidan Larson is the breakout leader. Rao Yagas had a little look at the inside. Jordan Pinnock's running it very, very wide on the grass, trying to keep out the way of all of the bickering and contact behind. We've got cars spearing all over the side of the road. That's one of the Hugheses off into the wall and sideways. John B has been shoved right to the back of the grid. I can see 4 or even 5 cars all looping it around there, trying to get through the carnage. Aidan Larson, though, leading quite happily at the front. There is a red flag called immediately by Adam Bent, our race organizer. Can't say I'm surprised, though. The contact reports are still coming in on our timing sheet even now, and they've finally stopped. There we have it, nearly a minute solid of contact. Not the dark, I'm going to be honest with you. We can do better than that. We'll have to see if we can do better than that with the second start.
Yeah, no surprises there, really. That was undoubtedly more messy than the Akiyama race 2 start, I have to say. And we spoke about the runoffs here being incredibly plentiful. And I think I think some drivers found their way onto the A roads then off down to Norwich. To be honest, there were cars absolutely everywhere on that circuit. So yeah, really no surprise there. But Aidan Larson was the man that took the first spot with all of that carnage. Maybe a little bit of an internet glitch there from Jack Noller that set him slightly back and caused a massive checkup behind, which maybe proved the catalyst. But a lot of top drivers didn't get through that. So let's hope they can keep it clean this next time.
Definitely, we'd like to see them keep it clean there. The woolly sheep on the roof of his car there. He was one of our other benefactors. He came out of all that carnage in P2, but I think the person who's benefited the most from the restart is definitely going to be Jack Noller. He got destroyed off the start in that checkup, which means he will have gained massively by having this restart. Gives him a second chance in just 1 minute's time to go again, to really set things straight and make the most of it. Second chances are hard to come by, nearly impossible in races, so he'll be happy for that. Jordan Pinnock was another one of our drivers that lost out on that first start, so we'll be very, very happy to have another attempt, because worst comes to worst, it goes just as bad as the first one, and it made no difference. Adam there being very clear, please be sensible, there is no second red flag. If you guys mess this up, then that's just sort of it. You kind of just deal with it, get on with it, carry on. The Panasonic, their livery of Benjamin, next to the World Racing Team of Andrea Ruggi. Love that livery. Let's hope they can be, they will finish further up than their qualifying position. We know they've got the pace in them. The clock counting down. The driver's getting ready. It is a big grid, isn't it? You can see there in the background as we get ready for our next race. Alex Hughes, one of our losers from the start, but the lights are beginning to come on for attempt number 2 of round number 3 of the BUSR Summer Series in Assetto Corsa. Let's get ready at Snetterton. It's rock and roll. Let's go racing for the second time of the first race as we come down. Everyone looking a little bit more polite. They're coming very side by side. Aidan got a great start. Can he make a move down into turn 1 through Rich as he goes on the brakes? They both go. There's contact between the front two, and Noller is sideways, checks up into Sparrow, who hits into Woolley. There's Raul Llagas trying to go around the outside of that. Massive check up. There it is again. This circuit is evidently not built for BUSR race starts, particularly Aidan Larson bolting at the front. Andrea Ruggi has come through into second, followed by Raul Llagas, and then Josh Woolley fighting his way back forward ahead of Kessus, Luke Sawyer, Jordan Pinnock, Benjamin, and Adam Sparrow. But notice who's not in that top 10. It is Jack Noller. Are we going to see the recovery drive of a lifetime, or is that him done for the day? Aidan Larson booking it away though from this big battle pack behind. Already 1.5 seconds of lead. Jordan Pinnock going up the inside, smashes into Raul Llagas, puts that car well up into the grass. Not the greatest or cleanest of move there. There's cars going off in the background. This is a typical BUSR race start. There will be penalties for these, but they'll be applied post-race, so we cannot comment on their results until next week. Zalia though and GT Nismo, two of our newer drivers, GT Nismo in their debut I believe, already up into P7 though. What a race start from them. But Aidan Larson, the massive winner there, already 1.5 seconds clear of the rest of the pack.
And to be honest, I think we've kind of been denied some of this interesting toe battles as we were talking about, because look at that, the gap out in front, out in the top 5 is all above 1 second. You know, most of the drivers in this top 10 are already spread out, already separated, and yeah, Andrea Ruggi, one of those massive benefactors from that race start, coming from, what was it, 7th place in qualifying up to 2nd, just, you know, as you were saying, Dan, at the start, just keeping it clean and keeping your car facing in the front, as we see Jack Noller, somebody who unfortunately didn't have that, but back in the middle of the pack. Can he fight his way back up to the top 10? I mean, you wouldn't put it past him.
Definitely not. He's already recovered up from well outside the top 20 to already be inside the top 16. He's got Adam Sparrow ahead of him, who is another very quick driver, which he'll be very happy about, because Sparrow can act as sort of a battering ram to basically not punt, but get the cars ahead ready to be overtaken by a vastly quicker car. There is Sparrow's already up to 12th, Noller moving up to 15th. He's now got the Hughes ahead of him, and one of the Liverpool cars, which I believe is Archie O'Leary, all around him. This is not where Noller is used to being in BUSR race. He was obviously a very successful driver in our ACC series, now returned for the GRs, and he's going to go up the inside there of Archie O'Leary, just behind Thomas Hughes. And he's going to hopefully get the run on him down towards Riches, maybe to slot in, take the slipstream. There he goes, into the slipstream. That racecraft he has exhibited so well so far, showing itself off. Looking up the inside of Thomas Hughes, into turn 1 he goes. Later on the brakes than all the cars around him, sails up the inside, makes one move, and then is going to make the second one just about, assuming there's no contact on the way out of the corner. He should get past John B into the Wilson hairpin. There he goes, just about made it through, and up into 13th place. Now it is another car ahead of him to get past, who's going to power on past him there, seemingly worlds of difference in their exit speed. As the cars get up to full speed though, they seem to have equaled out, but Noller with the inside line going to cruise up the inside into Brundle Nelson. There we go, up another place for Jack Noller. He's climbing these places like Spider-Man climbs a building.
Yeah, absolutely taking no prisoners there, and if these guys out in front are racing each other the way that they have been the first 2 laps, it will be a couple of laps before he's up into the top 10 really, as we see Josh Woolley now on the back of Andrea Ruggi, who's just dropped back a little bit from Aidan Larson, who's stretching his legs out there in front. But Andrea Ruggi, with, you know, all the respect in the world, is a little bit out of position here, as we saw in the qualifying session, down towards the back end of the top 10, and there's nearly contact there coming out of turn 2 and onto the long Bentley straight. But yeah, that's that Josh Woolley purple sector 1, purple sector 3. He's really doing as much as he can to get that second place off Andrea Ruggi and chase down Aidan Larson.
Yeah, he's making his most out of this. He knows if he wants to fight for this championship, the elusive BUSR student and even overall championship, then Wooly needs to keep his foot flat to the floor while Nola is bickering behind. He's up into the top 10 now on our timing sheets, just behind Kessa. So that is an incredible run of form for him. Recently just made it up past Zalia in that wonderful GT1 inspired Panasonic Toyota livery. Up next is Kessers for him as Jake Ansell goes up the inside of Benjamin there through what a move that was. Through bomb hole, get mine out the gutter as he goes up into 7th place now. These two having a lovely fight that will just allow Jack Nola to catch up. That's all these fights are doing, and they're giving a chance to Nola to make up ground where he otherwise wouldn't be able to. Lots of curb being taken as we come round the Murray's tight left-hander onto the start-finish straight. Ansell appears to be putting a little bit of a gap there to Benjamin. Maybe that was a move a long time coming, or maybe Ansell qualified out of position. I'm not quite sure. We haven't been following him particularly in that blue and white Toyota liveried car. Round turn 1 they go. Aidan Larson's gap already up to 3.5 seconds, but the gap from Owen Goldsmith to Luke Sawyer at nearly 8.
Yeah, absolutely massive gap there. It's almost like they're not in spec cars really in this race, but that is really down to the massive amounts of attrition that the first lap brought upon this grid. As we see Josh Woolley here looking like he was trying to attempt the switch back there going into Nelson. As we again come around bomb hole, they'll be sliding sideways for 180 degrees around here, and maybe onto the front straight. Josh Woolley might be able to gain a little bit on Ruji, but he has to be careful because coming up fast behind is Jordan Pinnock. I think he's closed quite considerably in the last lap or so. So could be a 3-wide battle here for P2.
Yeah, Jordan, last lap was a 1:14.5 as he broke the beam. The two cars ahead, both in the low 1:15s, a 1:15.2 and a 1:15.3 for Woolley and Ruji. So there's definitely time being lost. They're battling, which, as we know from real world motorsport, costs you heavily in both tyres and in terms of time. The race is not long enough to worry about tyres, but the time is critical when Aidan Larson is just running away at the front as fast as he possibly can do. Woolley is getting stuck behind Ruji. Ruji is an incredible defender, as we saw last time out. It's proving once again that it is very hard to pass a well-defended, well-placed Toyota around this circuit. Round Nelson they come again. Already 7 minutes gone, 12 and a bit to go. Woolley needs to get past, though, if he wants to challenge for the lead. The gap already up to 3 seconds as Benjamin going through on the inside of Jake Ansell. The battle for 7th and 8th continuing. And look who's out behind. He's like the shark from Jaws or Jaws. Sneaking up behind you out of nowhere. Then suddenly you just see him emerge behind you. And by that point, it's already too late. Jack Nola on the back of Jake Ansell and the Benjamin fight now. This would put him up into 7th if he can clear these two. But of course, catching is one thing, getting past is another, as the late great Murray Walker, for whom that very corner was, there's a spin there for Jake Ansell, gets it a little bit too wide, all crossed up onto the grass. Not quite into the A roads around here, not quite to Norfolk, but a free place for Jack Nola, who's now into the top 8, qualified on pole, down to 20th by turn 3. Now back up to P8. He's got a 1.5 second gap ahead, though, which I'm sure we will see fall very quickly, as on the last lap alone, he was 3/10 quicker than the car ahead. Woolley, however, still cannot find a way past Andrea Rugi's WRT car, which is not, he's getting more and more annoyed as Aidan Larson continues to put in nice, safe, easy banker laps to maintain that 3-second lead.
Maybe just the ballast that has been applied this race showing there, because Josh Woolley, as we mentioned, 45 kilograms of ballast, 15 kilograms more than Andrea Rugi. Maybe that's slowing him down a little bit, but in the background there, Jordan Pinnock, 40 kilograms lighter, so catching up, doing not a terrible job at hanging on to the back of these two, as there appears to be, is that lap traffic in front, or is that just Aidan Larson? I believe that might just be Aidan Larson, but they won't be catching him anytime soon. I was going to say he could give them a tow, but yeah, Jordan Pinnock catching up here. Maybe we could see a three-way battle. We've got 10 minutes left, so I wouldn't put it past them. But yeah, Jack Nola climbing up the leaderboard as he does, going to put the move on Benjamin into turn 1. Should be done before the braking zone. Fairly clean move, and yeah, up into 7th place. There's a 4-second gap now to Owen Goldsmith, so let's see what lap times he can put in. I'm expecting big things here.
Yeah, his last lap was a 1:14.6. The cars ahead of him have not even got close to a 1 minute 15 dead. So assuming he can keep that pace, all very deep on the brakes for Jordan Pinnock there, slows it right down, keep it clean, lovely job, very respectful racing from him. His current P4 will be his best result of the season and would be a great haul of points for him and the entire Team Penske outfit. Wooly, though, still not found a way past Andrea Rudi, the Italian, making that Toyota as wide as he needs. But Wooly sticking to the back like glue. These two are inseparable. They are reining in Aiden Larson as we come towards the beam. I'll be able to give you an up-to-date lap time from them. Aiden's last lap was a 1:14.9. Andrea Rudi's a 1:14.8. Wooly's a 1:14.6. So he's undeniably the fastest car of the three. They are just in the wrong order.
Looking like this is going to accumulate in a nice tasty battle if the pace stays as it is. But maybe Wooly has to work with Rudi here to catch up to Aiden Larson. As you mentioned, a good couple tenths quick on that last lap. Maybe Aiden Larson made a small mistake, but let's see if they can work together here. Jordan Pinnock's not really a threat from behind, so they could battle if they wanted to, but if they really want that first place, they need to work together here. But that gap, it just keeps stretching out to 5-6 tenths of a second on the straight before really compressing. So one has to wonder, is Rudi running quite a low wing here? Maybe Wooly has got significantly more, as look at that, the gaps close right up going into Coram and into the final corner at Murray's. But I suppose we could just keep an eye on the gap between the two and see just how much time Rudi pulls on the straights, because I reckon that car is on lower wing.
Definitely look like there's something going on there as they keeping together. Aiden sets a new fastest lap there, 1:14.5 dead. Jack Noller's best, a 1:14.5.8. So he's not exactly very far behind, but the gap to Owen is closing up significantly between those two. Wooly, though, under half a second now for pretty much the last 10 minutes or so, it feels like. But he's not been able to go past the Italian car. Jack Noller there setting a fastest lap of a 1:14.3. So there's your response from Noller, a 1:14.3. Wooly, the gap still under half a second, but still not got enough slipstream, not got enough straight line speed. Maybe that 15 kilos of ballast difference between these two cars is really hurting him. Maybe he's just got a different setup on. Who knows what the difference is, but Wooly not finding the time that he would very much like to have. As he goes, oh, there's a mistake from Rudi, who runs it very wide, the gap closing up quite drastically between them now, under 3 tenths. Is he going to be able to make a move coming around Coram and into Murray's? There's a car ahead of them, which I don't think is Aiden Larson, so that's a back marker they're going to have to negotiate. Hopefully they get out of the way nice and swiftly. Through Murray's they go. The gap is very, very low. There's a car off in the wall there. Luckily that wasn't either of our leading or even any of our podium finishers. Wooly right under the rear wing of that Toyota. He can practically see into Rudi's car as we come down towards turn 1. He's made the move up the inside. He's on the brakes later. Is there contact? Not quite. Slots back in behind. Very respectful, clean racing from Wooly there. Went for the move, but couldn't quite make it stick.
Incredibly opportunistic move there. Maybe just realised that there wasn't a gap to go for as they get very close to each other, exiting the Wilson hairpin, and that gap's just going to stabilise around 4 tenths. I do believe that it must be some kind of discrepancy between the cars that's causing this gap to stagnate. You'd expect it to close on a long straight like this, but really it's in the corners where Josh Woolley is gaining on Andrea Ruggi here.
Yeah, just a word on Jordan Pinnock. He's having some issues, so has dropped outside of the top 10. Now, Luke Sawyer has inherited that 4th place, which is yet again another position gained for the unstoppable Jack Noller, who is now under a second behind Owen Goldsmith. This battle has very much stagnated. There's a mistake up ahead, very sideways. I believe that is Owen going incredibly sideways, coming out of the Nelson right-hander, which means Noller just cruises on by. It's not even like he's doing absolutely insane Max Verstappen dive bombs. He's just driving cleanly, driving professionally, doing his absolute best to keep his car pacing the right way at as fast as possible. Owen Goldsmith there, maybe reacting to being overtaken, pushing the car too far, going wide and losing out again. Noller blasting down the start-finish straight with just over 5 minutes to go. As Woolley into the back of Rudi, excellent cut from our producer there to catch that little moment there. That is the first time those two have gotten that close all race long, and the gap instantly back up to 4 tenths of a second. But definitely some close racing now. There might have been a move late on the brakes for Ruggi there that Woolley could do nothing about. We don't know. The reports will be dealt with after the session by our team of stewards. But the gap, he's still hovering around that 4/10 mark. Woolley is stuck there in turmoil.
And yeah, they're really going hammer and tongs at this. You can see that the gap, which was only 2.5 seconds or so to Aiden Larson, is now up to almost 4 seconds. So really going for these pair. They're not interested in first place. They're only interested over bragging rights for the second step of the podium. And maybe as Ruji goes wide and Woolley goes through, I looked away from my monitor for 1 second and just saw Ruji going wide. Was that a mistake?
Yeah, Ruji got it all locked, all turned up on the brakes, just got it wrong, hit the curb a little bit wrong, got on the grass, pivoted it round, and then caught it very expertly, I must say. But Woolley clearly sailing through there, must have been thanking the lucky stars that he's finally got through. The gap, though, is up to 4 seconds, which means if he's going to catch his teammate Aiden Larson, he's going to have to push like stink. Woolley's fastest lap of the race at 1:14.5, Aiden's also 1:14.5. So unless either of them well, if assuming both of them can produce that pace, they will stay roughly at the gap they are currently at. Jack Noller's at a 1:14.7, currently 1:14.3 best. So he will be closing up to Luke Sawyer ahead. But again, the gap 4 seconds in 4 minutes. We've seen it's not easy to pass here if you haven't got a lot of overspeed from that Ruji defence on Woolley, which went on for basically 15 minutes. So we'll have to see if they can close the gap, let alone make a way through. But Ruji does appear to be dropping back. His sector times not quite matching up to Woolley's when it counts.
And yeah, Jack Noller there. I reckon that it might be doable to catch up to the back of Luke Sawyer. Just looking at the previous laps, it's about 1.4 seconds a lap quicker. And considering a lap time round here is 1 minute 15, 1 minute 14. There's absolutely no reason that he shouldn't be able to catch up to the back of Luke Sawyer in front. And given some of the positions that have been gained have been through the misfortunate cars in front, maybe he can just use the infamous, mind punt on Luke Sawyer. Just stay behind him just long enough to unsettle him, and through he goes. But there we are, purple lap time there, 1:14.3. Lap time in front of Luke Sawyer was a 1:15.6. So again, 1.3 seconds quicker. It really looks like it's on here for 4th place.
Definitely on. The gap is coming down at a rate of knots. Luke Sawyer's at a 1:15.6, Noller 1:14.3. That's a big gap. That is a gap that will close up fast. Adam Sparrow, one of our early favourites for the weekend, well, for the Monday night, I should say, got caught up in the carnage earlier, coming up on BUSR veteran Kessus. An interesting wheel-to-wheel racer Kessus is, so Sparrow, hopefully he's aware of that and knows just to be a little bit more cautious, maybe, because Kessus will defend like a lion for every single position, as he has every right to do there. Kessus going to playing the inside line, they're trying to block any potential move, but that's just allowing the gap to Sparrow to close up. Sparrow definitely got the race pace on Kessus, so once if and when he's through, I'm sure he'll pull away, but he's got to make the move in the next 2 minutes and 10 seconds plus 1 lap at the end once the clock has ticked over. Is there a move into what Murray's? No. The cars are practically one, though. The front bumper and rear bumper almost moulded together as Sparrow has a look outside the slipstream, tucks very wisely back in. Kessus running the inside line underneath our camera position, underneath the timing gantry. Sparrow's found a gap there. It's Toyota sized, but will it be Toyota sized through turn 1? There's a very big drift there from Sparrow, holds it with a lot of expertise. That is definitely something he has done many a time, whether intentionally or not. You'll have to ask him later, but they're coming through now. The Wilson hairpin, keeping it clean, but cannot find the way past. But again, the pace difference is so large that you have to think that he should have the pace at least to get close again to have another go as we come down the Bentley straight towards Brundle.
Yeah, it's certainly time for one more attempt into the final minute almost of this race. But Andrea Rugi, the gap has closed back up to just under half a second on Josh Woolley. Maybe Woolley made a couple of mistakes, I'm not too sure. But regardless, we saw the straight line speed of Rugi was pretty impressive. He was able to keep Josh Woolley there at bay. So maybe that can be deployed on the Long Bentley straight in what will be the last 2 or 3 laps of this race. I can't count because I can't do maths.
Yeah, there's some amount of laps to go. They're not very long. There's only 8 corners and 2 miles each. But Rugi here closed up 2/10 on that last lap. Oh, little bit of a twitch there, getting the power on as early as he dares to get that car running as fast as possible. This would be a very, very strong result for Ruggie if he could bring it across the line. It'd be his second, third place in as many race meetings. Both of them, though, would be finishing behind Josh Woolley. So you've got to think he's going to be a little bit annoyed about that. You can see Nolla in the mini box, though, is closing up on the car ahead. So we've got battles going on up and down the top 10 and all the way throughout the grid. Just a reminder, there's also a reverse grid on offer here. Zalia currently holding the pole position for that, but we'll come to that after the race. Ruggie, though, the gap is hovering now. Woolley seems to have, well, he's definitely looked at his mirrors, noticed and gone, right, I'll get a little bit quicker then. I'll stop making mistakes. And Woolley was actually faster through our first couple sectors to keep it up. There you go. 2 laps to go on the race clock. Well, that will very quickly become 1 lap as Aidan crosses the line now. So there we go. Final lap of the race. 2 miles to go for our BUSR Summer Series in Assetto Corsa drivers. Down towards turn 1 they go. Nolla right on the back of Luke Sawyer. Ruggie fading away from Woolley. His opportunities all but gone there as he runs very wide onto the grass. That'll be track limits and a half. As Nolla has a look at the inside. Ruggie running very deep. His tyres are going to be overheating. The McLaren looking at the inside of the Subaru, but they're actually both Toyotas. They're side by side coming out of the corner. This would be crucial championship points and the end to a great recovery drive from Nolla if he can make it stick. Runs it out a little bit deep. There's a little bit of nose to tail contact, I believe, between the two, but a very low speed difference. They both get away unscathed, and Nolla is through into the top 4. What a recovery drive. Not quite the podium, but still very impressive.
What do we say? Catching and passing is 2 different things. Well, I believe that Jack Nolla can do that in the same breath. Really made that look pretty effortless on the Subaru liveried Luke Sawyer. But yeah, onto the final lap as we see Josh Woolley into the lead. What happened to Aidan Larson there? As Woolley wide out the last corner, maybe can't believe his luck there as we got our car rejoining. Please don't interfere with this battle. And it is Woolley to take the race win in race 1. What happened there?
Flying formation from the dress-up darling cars over the line. It's got to be too early in the season to be championship thinking about already, as Woolley is our championship, well, one of our leading contenders. But Aidan Larson is no slouch, so it's highly unlikely to have got out of the way. Maybe interference with traffic, maybe a mistake. Ruggie completes the rather bizarre turned up podium that we weren't expecting there towards the end of the race. Larson controlled that from literally turn 2 until the penultimate corner, it seems. Nolla coming across the line in 4th, Sawyer in a very respectable 5th, Owen Goldsmith, our defending student class champion, in 6th, then Benjamin 7th, Cassius with a solid score of points in 8th, Dystopian 9th, and then Zalia, Sparrow and Igor Vlasivlev coming through to fill out the rest of your top 12. But that is a very odd end to the race. We'll have to ask in the interviews what happened there. The rest of the cars all coming over the line. Our timing sheet having a little bit of a hissy fit. Don't worry about that car, he'll be fine. It's a video game. Archie O'Leary, Josh Hughes, Dystopian, Igor, all finishing around. The rest of the those 2 last names seem to be dropping quite quickly. Jordan Pinnock and Raul, a race of what could have been for those 2 drivers on the drag race up to the line, which Jordan does take by a hair's breadth ahead of Raul. Both of them veterans, both of them know better than that. Both of them got caught up in mistakes early on that cost them strong. But Josh Woolley takes your race win ahead of Aidan Larson with a stunning last lap mistake. We're not quite sure. We'll have to find out later on. And then Ruggie, Nolla, Sawyer, Goldsmith, Benjamin, Kessers, Zalia, and I believe it will be Adam Sparrow, assuming that timing is correct, on your reverse grid pole position, which is going to be very interesting given his pace in practice and in qualifying. But that is the end of a action-packed, shall we say, race 1 of the day and round 3 of the season.
Yeah, I must say, a bit bizarre that that end. Was it team orders? Was it a Austria 2002 situation where famously Barrichello moved over to give Schumacher the win early in the season? Who knows? But by my maths, which, as we've established, is already not that great, I think Josh Woolley should be the championship leader going into what is the 3rd race, essentially, of this season.
Yeah, he's definitely going to be strong with a lot of championship points. We're going to take a short break now before our next race for our sponsor video, Grid Finder. Thank you for that, Grid Finder. They, of course, are long-time series sponsors. If you want to get involved with the BUSR, then you can come along and join us. You can come and join our broadcast team, the commentary team, social media team. We've run Formula One on a Saturdays. We run the best Assetto Corsa on a Monday, and we run Le Mans Ultimate Endurance Racing on a Wednesday. So there's something for everybody, depending on if you like your cars with 300 horsepower, 600 horsepower, or 1,000 horsepower. But going into the next race, Wooly and Aidan Larson are going to be starting at the back. Jack Noller just in front of them. Let's hope that we have a cleaner start so that those guys can carve their way up to the front and give us another thrilling battle. Race 2 will be getting underway very, very shortly. The cars are on the grid. The counter is getting close to race start, though.
Yep. Let's see if we get any more checkups like happened in that first start of race 1, because reverse grid, you never know what that's going to throw up. It threw up a lot of chaos last time out at Okayama, so let's see what it throws up in this race.
Yeah, it's definitely going to throw up something. It's just whether it's a lights to flag victory for someone we don't expect, or whether it's a humongous active bump into turn 1 or turn 2 again. Hopefully, if we can get the cars down to the Bentley straight, we can start to separate them out a bit, give them a bit of space, give them a bit of breathing room. But that is saying a lot, as we have got Zalia in the Panasonic Toyota livery on the front row. They're a very new driver to the series. They'll be very, very happy with that result, I'm sure. Adam Sparrow in the orange car next to them, a pro racer in the MX-5 Cup. So they know exactly what they're doing with these kind of cars. And then we have Benjamin and Cassus behind Benjamin, of course, in a matching Panasonic livery to their car ahead. Maybe there'll be some tactics there. Then the alien attack car of Cassus lines up in 4th place. Luke Sawyer and Owen Goldsmith are in the row behind. Just don't worry about Adam Bates having a little hissy fit there. Luke Sawyer in that Subaru car there, and then Owen Goldsmith, our current defending champion of green class, which is escaping which one that one is. And then Ruji and Noller line up next to each other on the row behind. Ruji, obviously, with that incredible defense from Josh Woolley that just fell apart a little bit at the end. But we're hoping to be able to basically recreate it again, as it is Woolley and Aidan that start behind him. Aidan Larson and Woolley are on that back row there. So basically, it's all to play for. We've got our championship contending 3 really at the back. We've got some surprising new names at the front. We've got Carnage around them. We've got Alex Hughes and Ben Gilroy starting behind. They'll be hoping to gain the dress-up darling cars. All in a lovely little formation, though, which is very nice to see.
Yeah, and a characteristically very tight grid this. So yeah, let's see how many checkups we get going into turn 1. Remember, the first start of race 1 was red flagged, and the second race start probably should have been red flagged, but we clearly only have 1 red flag here. And yeah, let's hope that this is a better start as we see the lights and we get ready for the race start.
Here we go for round number 4 of the BUSR Summer Championship at Snetterton. Zalia on pole, Adam Sparrow is next to them. Rock and roll, let's go racing. Great start from Cassus, who gets the car moving very nicely, but the gap is closed by Zalia, who cuts across into the middle of the circuit. They're defending their position very well. Everyone is going all around each other as the slipstream and braking points work themselves out. Cassus running very wide, smacking into Sparrow there on the way out. Both cars seem to have made it through, with Sparrow gaining a place. We've got 2 or 3 of the cars on the grass. That's one of the dress-up darling cars running very wide. There's 2 of them into the barrier, heavy on the inside there. Multiple collisions. Let's hope we don't have to go red flag. There's contact between number 3 and the 502 there of Archie O'Leary. Zalia still leads though, as Cassus is holding up what appears to be the entire grid behind them, as we now go 3 wide. Cassus, Benjamin, and I believe that's Ruji in the middle, trying to scythe his way through. Down the Bentley straight we go, and towards the turn of Brundle, I think that is. I've forgotten what corner it is, but they're going through it very quickly. All too wide throughout most of the field. Lots of curb hopping there. Noller not making up as many places as he'd like. And there he goes, making up as many places as he'd like. At ease, he goes past Cassus, and there's a car up in the gravel, the grass there, running very wide. That's one of the other dress-up darling cars, I believe. That's Ben Gilroy. I don't know. It's Carnage. Adam Sparrow, though, is already on the back of Zalia at the end of lap 1. There's a car up in the gravel behind. That's Ruji going off very far there. Race all but ruined, but Zalia and Sparrow now nose to tail over the line. Sparrow looking up the inside. The driver with possibly more experience and more pace of the rookie Zalia up the inside. Sparrow goes to take the race lead at the end of lap number 1.
Again, not as chaotic as race 1. Maybe everybody has slightly dialed themselves in. Nevertheless, a lot of drivers exploring track limits, as we see in the background at turn 1. Somebody going all the way off to the field. But Aidan Larson dropped a couple of positions on that first lap. Maybe stuck behind Kessis, who, as we've seen in basically every single race this championship, including round 1 at Okayama, can make that car as wide as a combine harvester. Maybe he should borrow one from some of the farmers around here. But Adam Sparrow leads from Zalia, Luke Sawyer, Goldsmith, and Benjamin.
Jack Noller already up to P6, Josh Woolley up to P8, Aidan Larson down to P11. That's just the way that the reverse grid goes. It's always a messy one, but let's hope we can now keep it clean. We've had a couple of retirements in the session already, so that's just showing you the rate of attrition that we do get here, not through physical damage, but let's ignore that as we go through the last corner at the end of this lap there. Noller pitch perfect every single time around that corner. Other people running it too wide, running it not wide enough, losing time, putting it on the grass, spinning it, but Noller running it perfectly. That is what being that good of a driver does to you. There's the fast lap of the race for him, already into the 1 minute 14.6s, which is the only driver in the 14s in the entire grid, including our Raheem Sparrow. He's closing up on Benjamin pretty happily, though. Benjamin, not a slow driver in a very pretty liveried sort of lilac-y coloured car, but the McLaren orange Toyota is running. Well, it's running on all cylinders, isn't it? It's firing as fast as it possibly can, but with the Noller at the wheel, I'm using so many metaphors, they're all kind of becoming one as we come down the Bentley Straight underneath the BUSR branded, lovely branded bridge there, and down towards the tight left-handers and that left-right. There's no move being thrown, but this battle pack here is just letting Sparrow build that gap. Already 2 seconds from Luke Sawyer now, who's swallowed up Zalia, who kind of heads this little train.
And crucially, the car backwards there at the end of the last lap out at Murray's was Josh Woolley, our race winner from race 1, down in 14th place now. I'm not really sure what happened. Maybe it was a spin, maybe it was locking of the brakes, maybe it was contact, but he's got a lot of work to do. Maybe he can do what Jack Noller did in race 1, as we see Jack Noller closing up on the back of Benjamin in this battle pack. This is what we thought we'd see in this race, lots of cars in a draft train, but can he send it up the inside? That's a brave move, just barely hangs on, does Benjamin, but surely there's going to be a move here into Wilson. Late on the brakes, decides not to commit, a little bit wide there from Benjamin, and can he cut back? Not quite, but yeah, this battle will continue. But Adam Sparrow there put 2.5 seconds to the good on Luke Sawyer out in front, who is 1.3 seconds in front of Zalia, and now we get this battle here. So not a massive gap to overcome for Jack Noller.
Definitely not. We go 3 wide down the main straight there, further back. There's contact between the 55 car and one of the blue ones of the car spinning around on the inside. That's Owen Goldsmith, who has been turned around. Their race going awry. That's another one of our leading contenders falling foul of BUSR wheel-to-wheel racing. This is proper gloves off, knuckle dusters on kind of racing. But there we go. Noller up the inside of Zalia, runs them wide, keeps it pinned as late as they dare. He's now in a Daffodil Racing Club sandwich of Benjamin and teammate Zalia, but I should imagine that this filling will be leaving the sandwich faster than an egg would leave a sandwich if it was intact. That's a really bad metaphor. I don't know why I said it. Noller up the inside into turn 1 though, going to make the place look nice and simple. Oh no, never mind. They've kept it round the outside there. Excellent defence from Benjamin up towards the very happy tree of Snetterton. You can see at the top of the screen. Side by side they go. Later on the brakes, there's the move sealed for Noller. Is there going to be no tail contact? Not quite, but it's very, very close. Noller has to run it wide though in avoidance though. There was actually a little bit of contact with the second part there. Onto the Bentley Straight. He's holding the inside line. Benjamin is definitely proving their worth as quite a rapid driver, even for a rookie in the series. Underneath the bridge and then onto the brakes. Noller, hopefully that's enough to seal the position. Benjamin, but all out of shape behind on the grass, keeping it as clean as they dare. Kessis in a fight with our newest driver, GT Nismo, who is looking to make away. There's a double lovely pirouette there from the cars behind. That was Owen Goldsmith, I believe, putting it round on the side after contact with Jake Ansell. But here we go, GT Nismo, a brand new driver trying to make a move on a BUSR veteran Kessis.
And Kessis with that famously astute, is that the word? Famously Famously good defending. Let's go with that, as GT Nismo makes a little bit of an error coming out that final corner, which will set him back a little bit. But Josh Woolley there in the background recovering, will probably be quite pleased by that, as here we have Jack Ansell going side by side down the front straight there with, I believe that is Thomas Hughes.
Yeah, definitely one of the Hughes team members spinning off on the own there, leaving. Well, that move basically signed so to deliver, but not really through any fault of anybody. It's just kind of a driver error means that blue Toyota livery of Jake Ansell can sive on through up into 11th place. Relatively new driver to the series, but very experienced BUSR driver Jake Ansell, so knows their way around the car and knows their way around the competition, much like Josh Woolley, who's been here forever and a day racing everything under the sun, and we love him for that. Coming under the bridge, he is in 10th place, which is not where he'd like to be. He's basically gained he basically lost one position since the race start, give or take, depending on how you count the grid. He runs very wide there, all on his own. An uncharacteristic mistake from him. Not the ideal race. I've been hoping to make up some places, but there will be some solace in knowing that he is significantly quicker than GT Nismo ahead and Kessers and Alex Hughes. It's only really once you get to Aidan Larson in 6th place that you find a driver that he is roughly on pace with. But even then, Woolley is the fastest man on the track, bar Adam Sparrow and Jack Noller, which is his third fastest, but that's still very impressive, as Noller is now hunting down Luke Sawyer, a car he's already had fights with this weekend, this Monday night. So hopefully we'll have a little bit of trust, a little bit of experience in racing each other, which means this should be a nice clean battle, as the gap is now under half a second as we come down the Bentley straight. Benjamin not been dropped too badly behind. Zalia has, though, from their pole position. They've dropped down 3 seconds to 4th place, so they're obviously falling down to 5th. Down the Bentley they go, but no moves being thrown. The gap's just a little bit too large for the... Oh, there's a big check up there, and that is Luke Sawyer going very deep on the brakes, and they're just checking up into them. They're boxed in. Jack Noller and Zalia's teammate Benjamin goes through. Luke Sawyer's back in the lead now. It's all kicking off in a very weird and unconventional way. Jack Noller just having to settle back behind those two student class cars in that alumni green liveried car, well, green accented car, shall I say, up the inside of Benjamin, who he'll try and go, but that's a place lost for Jack Noller, which I think is a first.
Yeah, quite unusual that, and also quite unusual to see that Adam Sparrow is consistently faster than Jack Noller, not only on the last lap, but the lap before, almost breaking into the 13s, which, as we remember, was the magic number from qualifying that everybody was trying to get their times into, as Jack Noller looks like he's going to send it down the inside here. Nice clean move late on the brakes. Can he get it back to the inside for the Bentley straight, as Benjamin runs out wide there, has a little bit of a wiggle, and that looks to me like that's move done.
Yep, they definitely play sealed for now for Jack Noller. He's obviously still got ground to make up, though, if he wants to keep this championship alive. So he's going to have to keep pushing, keep finding lap times if he wants to catch up to Sawyer. And that gap out to Adam Sparrow now is nearly 10 seconds, which would be the largest one we've had so far at Snetterton, and would be basically, I don't want to say insurmountable, but we've only got 10 minutes left. And Adam Sparrow is showing no signs of slowing down, whereas Jack Noller has still got a car to clear and is still being harassed by the car behind.
Let's try not to throw in the commentator's curse. We should not get a reputation for that. So Adam Sparrow, well, I mean, 12 seconds out in front. It's already increased by 2 seconds since we were last talking. So yeah, quite a comfortable gap out in front. But as we look down the order, Aidan Larson closing up to the back of Zalia there. The gap is just under a second. But while we've got sort of big gaps at the front, throughout the field it's remaining pretty consistent, which is something that we didn't see a lot of in race one, where it all spread out instantly, more or less.
Yes, here we have Kessers, who has got an Alex Hughes ahead of him. Those two know each other very well. They've been racing for a very long time. The Hughes, part of the Hughes team. There's a trio of them dotted around the grid. You'll spot them occasionally pop up in the top 10, even getting the odd race win. But Kessers now trying to make a move. Aidan Larson, though, is much closer to Zalia than we've seen them be before. They've got a lot of overspeed. Zalia dropping places, as I suspected they probably knew was going to happen, but they put in a valiant defence to stay in the top 5, well under the halfway mark of Aidan. But Aidan is closing up behind them as fast as he possibly can, trying to make moves wherever is possible, really, so he can go on the attack and catch up to Benjamin ahead. Then through Murray's, though, they're keeping it behind very wide for Aiden. Not the optimal line. There will definitely be some time lost, and that should save Zalia's position for the rest of this lap now. We're breaking the beam. We've got 8.5 minutes to go. Adam Sparrow is still setting the pace out front ahead of Luke Sawyer. It's a very wide moment there for Luke Sawyer, which means Nola is through and clear. Just evidently lots of heat in those tyres, just a little bit too late on the brakes, too much steering angle maybe, and the car just slides away. Nola now free to chase after Sparrow. The gap 11.4 seconds. Their last lap time was in favour of Sparrow, but Nola was battling, so we'll have to see if this is the first time that Nola will have a clean track ahead of him while chasing after Sparrow. Aiden Larson side by side with the rear quarter of Zalia's car. They're now pretty much side by side onto the brakes they go. Aiden first to the apex, and will have the corner sealed and delivered by the second part of it, and towards bomb hole they go, up into 5th place for Aiden. If he wants to mount the title challenge, those are the kind of moves he needs to make. Benjamin is the car ahead, and again, Aiden's got the pace to do it, but he's just got to catch up and then make the move in the next 7.5 minutes.
And Aiden tipped as, I think, one of our championship contenders at the beginning of race 1. Really proving, as there's a spin in the back there for Zalia. Looks like they just got onto the grass coming out of Murray's and looped it round. Fortunately, I was going to say only 1 place lost, but maybe a couple more than that. Down to 9th place they go. But yeah, Aiden Larson, one of the championship contenders, maybe one of the bookies' picks to take it to Jack Nola this season, showing exactly why he was so. Yeah, right up under the rear boot lid of Benjamin there, and Luke Sawyer not too far ahead. Probably he can get himself onto the podium here with 6 minutes left, more than enough time to take battle to these two in front.
Definitely, we've still got acres of racing to go. Just a word on some of our other drivers. Josh Woolley recovered up to 8th now in a fierce battle with Kessus, and Benjamin now catching up to Luke Sawyer ahead, who are about to engage in a fierce battle, with Aiden being the better factor when it all goes, well, if and when it all goes wrong. The gap at the front, though, is not really closing between those two. So this is basically your battle for your podium. It is the battle for the back end of the podium, which I'm sure will be in the mind of all 3 of these drivers, Luke Sawyer and Benjamin, not having scored one yet all season. Aiden obviously scoring one in race 1 after weirdly losing out on the victory right at the end. I'll be hoping to score some solid points, especially on his teammate Josh Woolley, to kind of keep that team's championship well and truly as sealed as they possibly can. Twitch for Benjamin keeps it clean, though. This line of this trio here making their way towards the Wilson hairpin nice and clean. Very late on the brakes for Aiden there. Tap into the back of Benjamin. That's the car off into the inside. Not the optimal line. Very courteous from Aiden, though, to let Benjamin back through and so he doesn't keep the place for a very unfair overtake. That's the kind of clean, kind racing we would hope to see in the BUSR going forwards. But we'll have to see if that happens or not, of course. But there we go. There is definitely not much space between them. Here is Woolley behind one of the Hugheses. That is Alex Hughes. He's going to have a look up the inside into Brundle under the brakes. Under the bridge, he puts the brakes on at the end of the Bentley straight. A lot of B's in one sentence, but that gives Alex Hughes the inside for Nelson. So that his place well and truly held for him. He is maintaining 7th place. Woolley having one of those nightmare stuck in traffic races that all front runners fear from a reverse grid race.
And just some updates from some of the other drivers up and down the grid. Dystopian down in 21st place, obviously is quite a sterling job at round 1, but has not had the race been going their way. And Ruji also down in 17th, unfortunately, after some of those incidents at the start. But at the minute, it's the Woolley Hughes battle. Remember, Woolley facing backwards on lap 2 or 3, I believe, coming out of the Murray's hairpin, looking to work his way back up towards the front, getting a little bit of a slide there into turn 1. Maybe working those tyres just a little bit too much, but the gap between Hughes in front and Kessus is 2.5 seconds. So really, if he wants to get any higher than 7th, he has to get this move done quick.
Yeah, he needs to get past Alex Hughes, who is a fierce defender on his off weeks, let alone when he's on pace as he is right now. Here we go, Woolley. As we've seen earlier, he's still not got that overspeed he needs. Maybe it's setup, maybe it's the line he takes out of the corner before the main straight. That just means he hasn't quite got enough speed to push forward where he needs to. Not very well, but a little bit wide from Alex opens the door for Wooly, who he tries to cut across, can't make it down there. Wooly goes through bomb hole, but then Wooly goes wide at bomb hole, which means into Corum. Alex Hughes can get back through again, which is meaning this battle is just topsy-turvying, and Zalia in 9th place is catching this pair much faster than I'm sure they were anticipating when they both went through. Very wide for Alex Hughes, onto the grass, run compromised, Wooly back through at the end of that lap. We've only got 3 minutes on the clock left, but there is more than enough time for more swapping round as we come down towards turn 1, the slipstream building, the speed building. Alex Hughes, though, doesn't appear to be sizing up for a move as they run wider than Wooly. Not the optimal line. He can hope to build that gap and drop Alex Hughes back into Zalia so those two can have a fight behind.
Yeah, Motorsport Vision Racing, owners of this track, of course, stood in the grandstand shaking their fists at the damage that these drivers are doing to their poor grass. But yeah, a lot of let's say adventurous driving there from William Hughes. But Zalia does look to have the pace on Hughes. Of course, they both have the same ballast, 0 kilograms, and Josh Willie kind of sneaking up the road, but that's a wiggle on the brakes and into the barriers for Zalia. Unfortunately, that was, yeah, maybe had the last battle from the previous lap playing in his mind a little bit, but down into 10th place they go as we continue to look at this battle for 4th place between Larson and Benjamin.
Yeah, Larson caught up to the back of the 4th place driver. This would be a very solid haul of points if Aiden could seal this one, possibly even driver of the day if they can make it work, except for Jack Noller, but of course that's kind of a given if he's going to do as well as he is doing. Only 4/10 separate the two of them. However, that seems to be the gap at which nothing really happens, and never mind, Aiden's later on the brakes, then Benjamin closes the gap right up to 0.3 of a second, and then 0.2 of a second as we come out of the Wilson section and onto the Bentley straight, practically breathing down Benjamin's neck. Aiden goes down the down the big back straight they go, speeds building to well in excess of 200 kilometers an hour, and then onto the brakes, down flat into the left-hander of Brundle and Nelson. They go, no curb hopping for either driver, keeps it nice and clean, runs it as wide as the regulations allow and no further, keeping Mr. Jonathan Palmer, circuit owner, nice and happy with his grass. As we come around now, only 1 minute and a bit to go as Jack Noller just crosses the line, so we might get 2 laps, we might get 1, but I think it'll be 2 given my rough back of the napkin maths. Here we go, round they go. Aiden needs to close up quickly if he wants to get onto that podium, because that is the blue Subaru livery Toyota of Luke Sawyer ahead, so he can see 3rd place. So with an excellent pair of overtakes and some speedy driving, that is on, but I think his mind right now is focused on Benjamin.
Of course, the Subaru BRZ is basically just a rebadged Toyota GR86. Maybe need to see if we can get this integrated into the championship, as Luke Sawyer there goes wide. Might provide a little bit of fuel to this battle, as yeah, that's a bit of a corner cut from Aiden Larson there. Jonathan Farmer won't be happy with that, but yeah, Benjamin there getting a massive, lovely tow from Luke Sawyer. Might even look to put this move on, which at the beginning of the lap, the gap was, what, 1.5 seconds? Closed right down now, thanks to that mistake. And he's going to try it around the outside. Nothing doing, but that really does close back up this battle for P3.
Yeah, the cars are now all on top of each other. The gaps come down from about 1 second between each pair, between all of them, and now it's come down to 1 second covering all 3 of them, let alone covering each pair of them. So it's all to play for. The leader is on the final lap. That is all we had left. That is all that she will write at Snetterton for this BUSR thrilling summer round, but this is our battle on circuit right now. The gap at the front has actually been slightly extended, so that is over. The gap between second and third is 9 seconds. That one's basically over. It is now these trio. Will we see any late lunges? Will we see anyone late on the brakes? We've seen mistakes from all 3 of these drivers, and there is another one. I need to stop talking about mistakes as Benjamin runs very wide through Riches, which allows Aiden Larson to sweep on through to take a very comfortable 4th place. Now Luke Sawyer, the gap over a second. Is that too much to ask? Without any mistakes or traffic interference, probably, as we have Adam Sparrow coming through traffic carnage around him, everyone getting out of the way like the parting of the Red Sea for Moses, round bomb hole, and then through the 180-degree right-hand sweeper of Corum. Since starting near the front, on the front row of the reverse grid. Oh my gosh, Adam Sparrow has... Nope, never mind, that's just a claim. Anyway, much more normal. Coming around the last corner he goes. There, an impressive drive from the front row of the reverse grid to the race win race 2 of the day, round 4 of the championship at Snetterton, goes to Adam Sparrow in dominant fashion ahead of Jack Noller, who will come across the line in just one moment to take second place. Excellent recovery drives from him across the week, across the evening, means solid points and should hold the championship pretty well with Wooly's lackluster performance in race 2. Luke Sawyer takes third place ahead of Aidan. The gap over the line just 0.2 of a second, very close between them. Benjamin coming home in 5th place, disappointed by their mistake at the end, I'm sure they'll be. Kessus takes home a valiant 6th, and then Alex Hughes will come home in 7th, Raul Yagas in 8th, and then Josh Woolley should be our next car across the line. There has been some lapped traffic that is messing up our timing sheets, hence why you're seeing names in the wrong place. Woolley comes across the line in 9th. Zalia back where they finished in race 1, 10th place. That shows they are performing at basically their limit, but also very consistently, and we're getting more and more cars across the grid now, across the line. Ben Gilroy will take 11th place, then Jake Ansell 12th, GT Nismo with points on debut in 13th, John B in 14th, Igor Vasivlev rounds out the back end of the points according to my timing sheets. Whether that's true as all the cars across the line, I'm not quite sure. Andrea Ruggi, not the race they were hoping for, down in 16th, then Josh Hughes 17th, Cannon 18th, Bent in 19th. Disappointing from our series organiser, you'd have to think. And then the rest of the grid behind of Leary, Justin, Bailey, Pinnock, Mullen, and then Darcy at the back. But a race win for Adam Sparrow and celebratory donuts right next to the lovely happy tree you can just see in the tree line there. A Snetterton legend. What a display from him. Those rear tyres are now absolutely toast.
Yeah, thank goodness there's no more races where he needs these tyres. That's a bit overzealous there with the donuts. Can you be overzealous with donuts? Who knows? It's a shame there's not a grandstand there. It's just Farmers Fields. But yeah, absolutely dominant drive from Adam Sparrow. As we said, Okiyama, the less we talk about you on broadcast, the more dominant your race win. And we certainly didn't see very much of Adam Sparrow in that race. So, basically likes to flag victory for him. That was impressive.
Yeah, definitely a result he was hoping for. We will have some interviews coming up shortly, so do stick around if you want to hear from any of our class and overall race winners. I think we'll probably speak to some, or if we can get hold of him, we'll speak to that very man, Adam Sparrow, first place, ask him straight off the back of his race victory how he's doing, if he's there at all. I don't know if he is.
Yeah, quite a chaotic race, I must say, as we do have Adam Sparrow into the interview room.
Hello. Hello.
How are you feeling after that race win?
Yeah, very good. Just sort of, it's so difficult to pass around the 200. There's not really many places you can outbrake someone. So I just wanted to make sure I get the job done cleanly and early, and then just hit a bit of a rhythm, to be honest.
Yeah, and absolutely, your pace in that second race was by far the quickest. What was your mentality seeing that gap of? It must have been over 10 seconds, less than halfway into the race. Did you want to go for the fastest laps, or were you just happy to go around consistently?
At that point, I sort of hit a rhythm, so it was silly to sort of break out of that one, to be honest.
Do you think this is the sign of things to come? Are you looking for more race wins going forward, or you think there might be a one and done, happy to retire as a race winner?
I mean, it'd be nice to get some more race wins. I don't know whether I'll be here next week as I'm coaching at Croft, but I'll be looking to try and certainly compete. Obviously, Snetterton, I've raced and I've won races there before in real life. So obviously, I've got a slight advantage in terms of that. And also, I did have a ballast advantage as well.
Well, congratulations. We hope to see you back at some point in the near future. Thank you for talking to us.
No problem at all.
We are now going to have our student race 2 winner, Luke Sawyer, come and speak to us. He knows the world of F1 very well. This is one of his first times racing with us in Assetto Corsa, so we'll have to ask him about how those two different cars compare when he joins us imminently.
A podium.
Hello, Luke. You did get a podium. Well done. Also,
yeah, you dragged me in the conversation.
Apologies for that, but how are you feeling after that?
I think happy is an understatement. I don't know if it's common knowledge, but I'm in all 3 championships of BUSR, and this was the one where I was going to be by far the slowest and the furthest away from any form of silverware. So to get silverware at round 2, albeit it's probably a little bit biased because I have raced at Snetterton in real life, so I already knew the track. But I think even in sim, that doesn't really matter. I am more than happy for a podium.
And how did this race compare to Okayama? I know that was a little bit of a rough start to the season. So, yeah, how was this in comparison?
Well, Okayama felt more like a prologue to me because I'm very new to racing on AC and the physics of AC. I'm more of a F1 person. So, unsurprisingly, I knew it was going to be a bit of a weird one, but race 1 in Okayama, I miscalculated fuel, which is why I started, was it second last in race 2? Well, race 2 actually felt quite good on pace, but I just never fully got up to speed to how I would have wanted to for Okayama. Yet with this one, I felt, with literally half an hour's practice, I felt on the pace quite quickly, and I felt quite confident, which, again, racing in real life probably helped to that because I already knew what I was up against compared to Okayama, which I'd literally never driven before. But regardless, podium's a podium. I'm not going to complain. I'm running off with it.
Well done and congratulations, and we hope to see you again back here in the future.
Yeah, fingers crossed, you never know.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're now going to speak to, hopefully, the defensive maestro from race 1, putting that incredible defence against Josh Woolley. He is our Italian star, Andrea Ruggi, P1 open class race win in round 1, and then a less than stellar race 2. Hello, Andrea. Talk us through that race 1 victory. Well, class victory.
Hello, hi. Yeah. Thank you. And sorry for the previous race. I wasn't on the interview because I didn't understand that I was interviewed. And first race was pretty nice. I did a very good start in first turn. I try the impossible and I break overtaking Josh. I had a good battle with him. And I had fun with him. He's a good driver.
And of course, commiserations on race 2. Could you talk us through what happened? What happened there?
My gosh, I think race two was the worst race I never had because I was watching now the replay, and so I hit a billboard on the last corner of the sector 3, and I lost the car for that. That's it. So I dropped places, and in the last places of the grid, I had many contacts with the guys, and I'm sorry for that.
We hope you can bounce back at round 3 next weekend, and best of luck with that. Thank you for speaking to us, Andrea.
I hope so. Thank you so much. Have a nice day. Goodbye.
Bye. And now we're going to speak to another one of the drivers who had a great race 1 and a slightly less great race 2. Is, of course, our dictator in charge, Josh Woolley. Did very well in race 1 and then had a typically Josh Woolley bottle job race 2. How are you doing, Woolley?
I think your introduction very aptly describes that race. Yes, race 2 was interesting. Crashed, then recovered to 7th, then crashed again. Probably could have come 4th or 5th had I not crashed. But it is what it is. Round 2 is always my curse. At least I scored points this time as opposed to Laguna last season.
And how did you find the battling round? Snetterton 200, obviously a very low downforce track. We thought you might be running maybe a slightly higher wing than those around you, or was it the ballast that was maybe keeping you back?
It was purely the ballast. I was on the minimum wing. Most of us guys at the top were. But yeah, the ballast is heavy. It was decent battling. Race 1 probably better than race 2. Race 2 there were a few moves that were interesting. Have to watch them back to really see what happened, but overall it was an enjoyable race.
Very great to hear, and I'm sure we'll see you back at Lithuania next week, ready for even more interesting battling.
Hopefully.
Thank you, Josh.
Perfect. Cheers, guys.
And finally, he was our winner in race 1. He was our winner in alumni in race 2. It is the one, the only Jack Noller. Hello, Jack. How are you doing? Very successful weekend, you have to think.
Being last after turn 1, race 1 was probably not successful, but given everything, decent results overall. Might have a slightly lighter car for the next round, so that's a positive to take out of it. But yeah, so to come to get 4th and a 2nd, Sparrow, well done to him, buggering off into the distance and doing very good race 1. Obviously the two, Aiden and Josh, having their fight. The fans of Aiden, congratulations to them. Yeah, it was recovery. Like, it would have been real interesting having the race go like calmer because there were so many of us relatively so close. Because Paul was on the outside for turn 1, 2nd place was typically always going to get ahead. So it was going to be a really interesting, quite serious race if race 1 if it happened that way. But it didn't, and alas, it just probably made some entertainment, as probably there was quite a lot of crashing, and maybe I got some decent overtakes on stream.
Yeah, absolutely. And we midway through that race, we had some inside info that you're at McLaren. So, is there any development plans in the future to make a GR86 style 300 horsepower McLaren car?
Yeah, what could possibly make you guess that with the McLaren livery and the McLaren logo on the front of the car? I don't know what possibly tipped you off for that, but yeah, it's enjoyable there. I've just recently started in the last 3 months or so, so yeah, it's good fun. But I don't quite think they are going tin top racing. They have got a wet car, so that's probably the closest you get to a GR86.
Well, anyway, we wish you the best of luck going forward, both your new job and also your championship attempts, I suppose. So thank you for speaking to us, and I'm sure we'll speak to you at some point in the future.
No worries. Take care.
That is about all we have time for. So any last thoughts from you, Tom, before we wrap it up for the evening?
Absolutely. It was a brilliant race. Really enjoyed the kind of chaos and a little bit carnage of it. I just hope that next round at Lithuania will be a lot cleaner. It's a track that I'm not wholly familiar with. But yeah, I'll certainly, even if I'm not commentating, be tuning in to watch how that unfolds.
Yeah, looking forward to that. Same place, same time next week. Come and find us at BUSR if you want to get involved. Thank you to our sponsors. Thank you to our producers and our organisers. I've been Tom. He's been Tom. I've been Dan. Good night.
There is no place and no moment in history where I could stand and say, Old British begins here, now. Road.